Do we have some question in the public?
Philippe Gouin from Guy Carpenter. I just have just one question, so perhaps more to our French guy over here, because I'm French, so it's maybe easier. Or why I'm just a bit more concerned. How do you view the contribution of the public sector as providing some kind of feedback to the private market, as you have access to the whole package of information, or the let's say when the private insurance company come to you for the unlimited state warranty? So I suppose they do provide a number of information, and this number of information is market information. It's the whole market information. So do you provide some kind? How do you view the collaboration the other way around? So providing I don't know, sharing your expertise for modeling, or having some feedback in terms of statistics, or how can you help the private market this way?
Well, as you have been able to see, we effectively have a lot of importance about modelization and data collection. But the data we collect, we do not invent them. The data we collect are first generated by the companies themselves about their risk. And so they know a lot, but they do not know all and everything. And you can also see that as a broker in the everyday work. I think that you have also other source of information, and that we also do have access as everybody. What we see our role is effectively to be really transparent about the risk, about what we gather as information, transforming this information into intelligence information, provided to the more as we can. The data we collect from our students, clients, is from a bilateral contract with confidentiality about the data. We do respect, and this is our utmost duty to do that, because it's a question of trust. And so the clients do not want to see at a very detailed level sharing of the data from others. If they do, and they can do it between themselves, including with professional organization, but they don't, and they have reasons, of course, for that we understand. And what we see is to have a common agreement on this sharing of information at the market level. So that's what we do. That's what we do on the NatCat with website shared and with private access to with detailed information for the students with their own data, but with the ability to compare themselves with the average market at a certain level. So that is, for example, a way of transferring intelligence information to the market, but also it could also be extended to the public in such a way to increase the awareness of the risk, and to increase not maybe on the NatCat, but on other type of risk, such as agriculture, for example, to increase the penetration rate for market, and it can help the insurability. Or the way to insure more for risks like that are difficult. I won't talk, if the question is asked maybe, but about risks that are not known at all in a way, like cyber, because we do not yet have so much information. We will have more with all the obligations from companies that have to be to declare in the future their attacks. But even with this type of information, it won't be everything. And so how awareness of risk, preparedness of prevention could be helped by communicating and transferring information to the stakeholders is something that we do think is very important for the market, for the government, for the culture of risk, and it's a role as kind of in our role that we feel from the risk management perspective for the state.
One question to... Oh, sorry. Yeah. You mentioned, Esther, that a country risk manager would be a good way to facilitate public-private partnerships. Is it just a wish from us, or is it something that is happening? And in the OECD, do we see progress in that direction in the OECD governments, that they are thinking about it and implementing those policies?
I think the short answer is probably no. But I mean, there are some examples that I'm aware of in Latin America where it's not quite the same exact idea, but it's where within a finance ministry, I think Colombia, Mexico, Peru are examples, they have somebody who is responsible for the risks to public finances, basically, who has a very strong mandate for usually natural disaster risks, and in that sense, it's sort of responsible for this, from a financial management country risk officer kind of approach. Within OECD countries, it's less common, partly because these issues aren't really, necessarily a major public finance challenge for a lot of OECD countries who are bigger, have bigger economies. There are examples where the sort of the center of government have put in place the function of disaster risk management or coordination across ministries. So I think Japan, it's in the cabinet office. I think it's like that in the UK and a few other places. But not specifically this country risk officer type concept.
I think it's not so important whether it is called country risk officer, but the importance is that there is a coordination across different ministries at a high level, high seniority level, in order to actually also be able to influence or set political priorities. But I'd like to highlight another example where this idea has been picked up. Rockefeller Foundation has sponsored a program, 100 Resilient Cities around the world, of which Paris is one of those 100 resilient cities. And the key concept that they have promoted is the creation of the position of a chief resilience officer that actually should take that role, identify the main risks that these cities face, and develop adaptation strategies. Now, among those cities, the risks vary a lot, and some risks are relevant for the insurance industry, others are less relevant, or financing or insurance is more relevant than in other cities. But in that sense, the concept has been picked up at this city level.
So my question is, with the increase in global warming or increase in natural disasters, are the members of the panel confident that all these solutions are sustainable? So whether this is just not the short term, I mean, it's sustainable forever. I mean, I'm just...
Maybe I can go on that. Right. So it's like love, love forever. It's it's a concept. Well, risks are evolving continuously, and the question is, whatever you do and you put the architecture you put in place, they should incorporate some flexibility inside from origin. But it's difficult to it's really difficult to think that it will go for the future 20 years. Consortio, it's 60 years duration. France more than 30 years. But even during those years, there has been evolution of the way of dealing with things. So it's not because you just have one name of a system that is the same for 30 years or for 60 years that it's obligatory the same in fact. Nevertheless, risks are evolving. Information, knowledge about the risk are also evolving. The values insured or not insured are evolving also with land use planning. We have to take into account what we are facing. We have spoken about terrorism and we continue, but we have also on NatCat and climate changes, which are a big threat as well. And even if you just take into consideration the coastal line with the sea level increase, it has challenges in the economy, in the towns that are situated in those areas, and of course systems will continue to evolve. The thing is not being blind with not wanting to know about those future risks that are coming in 30, 50 years or maybe more, and just to realize that one of a sudden that you have to change it very quickly, dramatically in crisis management. What is important is to have this into consideration well into advance and to take measures, maybe not big bang or reset from year to years, but an evolution with effectively a mid-term view. It's very difficult to have a 50 years or 100 years view as human being and as leaders or politics. It's difficult, but nevertheless you have to at least have a medium view, and the medium view is not 3 years, it's not 5 years, it's really 25 years in a way. At least it's good.
Well, in 2004 we were 50 years old and in the celebration in the Consortio we committed ourselves to celebrate the first century in 50 years. So for our definition is that we are a stable public institution, and I think that we can distinguish very well different stages from 1954 till 2017. There have been a number of changes, and we have been adapting quite easily to the different changes of the market and the needs of the insured. So I think that you can reach stability for the next years when you are based on a very good well understanding between the private insurance sector and the public contribution. That is, at least as far as my experience is concerned, that is the key element. We have a very, very good understanding, and we know we are in the same boat, and we know that we have to solve all the new problems between us, public and private partnership.
Thank you. Perhaps we are not here for forever, but we are together. And I heard this morning that it starts with the resilient citizen, and perhaps it ends up with the country resilient officer. Thank you.